Welcome to Stuff That Works. Okay, so this episode is a little unusual. It's about how I tried to solve a problem with horseflies bothering my sheep, but almost everything I do is interconnected in some way, so I felt like I had to give you a little context, and maybe I'm going a bit overboard. Bear with me, we'll get to the fly trap and, well, if not why it didn't work, at least how it didn't work. You see, to understand what worked and what didn't, you have to understand what I was trying to do and why. My kids say my explanations always begin with, well, right after the Big Bang, or in the beginning the world was without form. I'll skip right ahead and begin with about 15 years ago. We bought the remaining home place of an old neglected dairy farm. Here's the old milking parlor and the stanchions. It's kind of neat. The house and the yard around it was in really good shape, but apart from some pretty decent hayfields, mostly in the bottomland along the creek, the land was weedy and overgrown. Here's what most of the place looked like 15 years ago. Well, and actually, that's what most of it looks like now, too. But as you can see here, I've made some progress. I did have a neighbor come in with a bulldozer at one point, but mostly I've done this myself and mostly with these tools. The Echo was a great chainsaw which held up for over 20 years. It still works, but not as well as it used to, so last year I replaced it with the steel. So far the steel's great, and I think they're both stuff that works. The Bush Hog was bought new over 25 years ago. Like the Echo, it isn't new anymore, and it's showing some wear. I guess that applies to me too, but there's been one more important tool. This is my flock of Katadyn sheep. They're hair sheep, which means their wool's even more worthless than regular sheep, but you don't have to shear them. They're a meat breed. They're very hardy, parasite resistant, weather resistant, and a little wild. And they eat weeds. They love Asian honeysuckle and poison ivy, among other things. These are the ewes. They usually have either 1 or 2 lambs a year, so that means about 20 to 25 from the flock. We eat a few of them, sell a few of them to people who buy them directly, and then I take the rest to Brewer Livestock in North Vernon, Indiana, and they buy them. So the sheep eat a lot of weeds and turn them into high-quality fertilizer, meat, and money. But they create a couple of problems to be solved, such as how do you fence 40-plus acres for under $500, and how do I make sure they eat the weeds I want them to and not the garden, or worse, the neighbor's garden? The solution for that was PermaNet. You can see it here. It's a 4-foot-high poly mesh with electric wires embedded in it. I tried regular electric like you use for horses or cattle, and they just ignored it. But this stuff works. It comes in sections of various lengths. I think these are 150 feet, and I have 3 of them. Started with just 2. Whatever the length, 3 sections is better. It gives you much more flexibility. I got the double spike posts, which gives you a place to put your foot when you step them in the ground. They wouldn't work in our clay soil otherwise. We have a few areas which are very rocky or gravelly, and the whole idea just doesn't work there. If you've got that kind of soil, forget it. The mesh is held together by these little plastic buttons. Sometimes the fence gets damaged, and while it's repairable, it isn't easy. It would be a lot easier if I had a source for these little plastic buttons. I don't even know what they're called. If anyone knows what they're called or where to get them, I'd be grateful for that information. The fence charger is mounted in a kind of weatherproof suitcase with a solar panel on top and 2 12-volt batteries inside. Actual woven wire fencing with posts permanently set in the ground is better in a lot of ways, but this works. I can move it anywhere I want, and I've been using money from selling the sheep to buy more conventional fencing materials. Okay, so now we get to the flies. The sheep had a problem this last summer. The horse flies were really bad and almost eating them alive. I got some fly spray and tried that. It's too bad I don't have a video of it. It would probably be pretty comic. The sheep do not like to be sprayed, and we're having none of it. I must have looked quite the fool chasing them around in a circle with a spray bottle. So I consulted the oracle of the World Wide Web, which told me that horseflies love to land on dark-colored things, and this makes them easy to trap. They were indeed bothering the darker sheep more, so that made sense. So I bought a couple of these fly traps. I added an old yogurt carton to the bottom. I ran a string through to hold it together. And then I painted the carton and the top of the trap black. And hung it up over the sheep. This is definitely stuff that did not work. It did catch flies, but only little ones. The horse flies showed no interest in it whatsoever. I considered smearing tanglefoot, that's this sticky stuff made to catch bugs, on the carton, but I never saw a horsefly anywhere near it. What did kind of work is this. It's called a bovirub, and it's really made for cattle. You hang it up where they'll have to walk under it, and then you soak it in a mixture of mineral oil or diesel fuel and insecticide. The sheep wanted no part of that, and I had to move their fence to a place with trees, so I had something to hang it on and then funnel them in and chase them under it. At first, a lot of them went around the ends or ducked under. I lowered it, and then some of them jumped over. I don't think cows do that. Eventually, I think they all got some of it smeared on their backs, and it seemed to work. But it's cumbersome because I have to take them to it, and it's heavy and toxic and smells bad, and it's expensive. And all in all, it's just not a great solution. I'm open to suggestions. So in sum, Echo chainsaw, off-brand bush hog, steel chainsaw so far, Katadyn hair sheep, PermaNet portable fencing, all stuff that works. Fly control for sheep, the spray bottle, and the fly trap are complete failures. The bovirub's a partial success, but not a good solution. I'm open to any advice or suggestions. Let me know what you think might help. And if it isn't too crazy or expensive, or both, I'll sure give it a try. Thanks for watching.